Buongiorno. Today I want to do a video about fare shopping, going shopping. And when I'm talking about shopping, I mean things other than food. And there are two different kinds of shopping. I think that's the first thing that you really need to know. One is a more casual setting, like this outdoor market. Here we have an image where we're selling souvenirs, hats, sunglasses, postcards, things like that. But at a local market, an outdoor market, which is a great place to shop and really experience the culture. You'll also see a lot of clothing. You'll see kitchen goods. You might see soaps, toys, and things like that as well. So, one type is a bit of informal shopping where you are relatively anonymous. You can wander from booth to booth without intruding on anyone's personal space. And vendors may engage with you. They may call you in to take a look at something, but it's more of an impersonal situation where you're wandering around looking and soaking it up. You can also haggle at these markets, which is another interesting feature. Vendors may offer you a deal on the spot, right? Buy two of them, get them for €10 as opposed to this price that's shown, or you might be able to haggle with them yourself. It's good to bring cash to these markets. That's an important thing, particularly when you're dealing with street vendors. They may not accept a credit card. Now, there's also another type of shopping, and that would be window shopping. Is very common. So you look, there are pedestrian-friendly city centers, and most of them have an extensive pedestrian area where it's very limited in the traffic that can enter the city. So you'll notice that there are these beautiful window displays that are intermingled with different food offerings, with clothing stores, with intimate boutiques. And individuals walk by and they look at the displays. They don't tend to go into the store unless they are going to make a purchase. So if we take a look here, you can see these really elegant displays. And as you look at the window there, you'll notice that there are prices everywhere. So exactly what to expect when you walk into the shop. Also, you'll notice how these two gentlemen are dressed, right? They're dressed perhaps in a bit more formal, put together way. And that's quite common in Italy as well. So when you go to a shop and when you go to a boutique, it's important to dress for it. If you're a tourist, of course, in a tourist area, that's a bit different. They expect that, but Italians will take note of how you're dressed, and they may give you a little bit of a different level of service based on how you put yourself together. You should know that if you're going into a smaller shop or if you're going to a boutique, they may have limited hours. Often they close over lunch. This one happens to close at 1300 at 1 o'clock and reopen at 1630 at 4:30 in the afternoon. So good to note this. Many times these shopkeepers are the proprietors or the only individuals working there, so they take a break for lunch. And it's also a cultural convention. You'll notice Domenica Aperto written on many shops. This one happens to be a bakery, but this will happen as well on some artisan shops or some boutiques or clothing stores as well, because oftentimes many things are closed on Sunday, particularly in the city centers. You look at the boutiques. You can see here on the right hand side of the screen. There's a dress and there's a sheet of paper there that lists all of the prices of the items. Now you can't see the prices in this image, but just note that because individuals know how much things cost, they have a good sense of what's in there from the window. There really isn't this habit of going inside of a store, trying things on just kind of on a whim, or trying on different pairs of shoes to see how they look. You go in there with a sense of what they sell and whether or not, and if it fits you, you tend to get it. Is at least how Italians, function culturally. They don't returns are not very common, and it could be difficult to do this. Maybe within a week or two at a boutique, at a department store, or something that's different. If it's a large department store, you can go in and you can be a little bit more anonymous, and it's easier to make returns. Also, browsing is acceptable in a department store, but otherwise, the browsing happens on the outside. So here's another shot of a shop, and you can see a shopkeeper talking to a friend of hers. What's important to know is once you enter the shop, you're entering someone's personal space. They're small, they're intimate, and the cultural practice is that as soon as you walk in, you say buongiorno if it happens to be morning or up until perhaps an hour or so after the lunch hour. And Italian lunch hour goes until 3:30 oftentimes. So it could be 4, it could be 5 o'clock when you're saying buongiorno, good day to the shopkeeper. In the summer hours, when there's much more light in the day, it tends to be that we might use buongiorno a bit longer. Then we can go right to buonasera, good evening. Buona sera for good evening. So make sure you do that. When you enter the shop, it's considered rude if you don't acknowledge a shopkeeper, and they'll likely greet you. So make sure you greet them back as well. And as soon as you go in, they probably will want to know what it is that they can help you with. They're very customer service oriented when you enter their small stores. Here's another example of a window display. This one is in clothing. This one is the mocha or the caffettiera. This is the iconic Italian coffee maker. So if you're in Italy, you should try to use one of these. Perhaps you already know what one is, but here's a store that sells a lot of different ones. And on the bottom there, you see a display of the prices. So again, someone would look at this and they would probably go in if they know they want to buy one because they understand how much they cost. And maybe they see a unique one and just want to go in and make that purchase. So an example of the window display that you will see as you're walking the streets of Italy. So when we're shopping, here are some phrases that I think are really important to know. The first one in, as soon as you walk in, after you hear the buongiorno or buonasera, you're going to hear this: mi dica or dimmi, mi dica, dimmi. Two different ways of saying, how can I help you? And they literally translate to tell me. However, one's formal, this mi dica, and one is informal. So depending on your age or how they their personal style, they'll greet you with one of these. But just remember, even if they give you dimmi, you always want to be formal to the shopkeeper. Okay. The next would be do un'occhiata, do un'occhiata. So if you go into a department store, you probably still will be greeted by a clerk or a boutique. You might want to look around a bit. So you want to say do un'occhiata, I'm browsing if you're not certain. And that will buy you some time to look around before the shopkeeper pounces on you rather. Uh, Non ho ancora deciso. Non ho ancora deciso. This works great in a clothing store or a store where you're buying things other than food, as well as when you're going into a food shop, a small food shop, where the shopkeeper may talk to you. You can ask them a question like avete, avete. Do you all have? If you're looking for something specific. If you need something, you could say ho bisogno di, ho bisogno di. I need. Literally, I have a need of, but I need is how we translate this. Posso, posso, may I. May I is really important because when you're at a shop, before you touch the merchandise, before you look at anything, before you try on a pair of shoes, you want to ask permission. Even at a market outside, before you touch it, you want to make sure you ask because many times they want to get it for you and they're quite particular about the displays and different things. So make sure you ask posso before you do anything. Cerco, cerco, I'm looking for. So if you're looking for something specific, you can use this one. Another one is vorrei, vorrei, I would like. And then we have the word questo, this, questo, or quello, that. Excellent words. You could simply point at something, questo, quello, and you can add things such as vorrei questo, right? Ho bisogno di questo. And we can add, all of a sudden, we can start to make some very simple phrases here. All right. Well, we have entrata libera. Entrata libera. What does this mean? Well, you'll see this outside of certain stores where it means that it's a free entry. It's not that you have to pay to go inside shops, but it's free in the sense that you can browse. So browsing is okay. So it's all right to enter, and there's no expectation you need to buy. You might see some lower end shops, some shops with a lot of knickknacks and souvenirs may have this on the outside, or department stores, right, or other places where you can wander in and not worry about browsing and having an expectation that you are expected to buy. Bancomat is ATM. We also use this for debit card. Oftentimes, more and more in Italy, it was much cash based, but now they're using much more ATM debit cards. Not ATM. They're using debit cards more frequently pay and credit cards and even Apple Pay. So if you're paying with a card, you would say la carta di credito for a credit card, but oftentimes we simply say la carta, but they may clarify. They may say bancomat, meaning debit card, or di credito, credit card. In contanti, this means cash, so there might be a discount for a cash price. They may only want to be paid in cash, although less frequently today, but always good to know that one as well. And sometimes you can get a discount for paying in cash. costoso, an adjective here talking about expensive. Economico, economico. So you might say that you're looking for something that's economico, or you probably might not say costoso, but the shopkeeper may tell you that something is more costoso or more economico. Uno sconto, a discount. Now, asking for a discount in a boutique or in a department store or something, or haggling for that, haggling certainly is off limits. You don't want to do that. That could be very rude. But asking for a discount, perhaps you buy a few or if you pay in cash, that might be possible. And sometimes Italians will just do this for you if you're very polite and nice, and they can be quite charming. So they may do that anyway. If you're buying a few things, they may offer that to you. Saldi, saldi. So you see this on the outside of a shop, and you will notice that they are having sales. Well, a couple other phrases here that I think are good to use in the shop would be mi piace, I like, when referring to an item, of course. Mi piace happens to be used with with singular nouns. So I like, mi piace. Um, you could use it with plural nouns as well. It's not grammatically correct, but they will get the idea. And the idea is to communicate and to just try. Preferisco, I prefer. Più piccolo, smaller. Più grande, bigger. La taglia, the size. And this one refers to clothing. Il numero, your size referring to shoes, by the way, makes you understand European sizes when you're doing clothing and shoes before you buy them. Otherwise, they can probably check and measure for you. È bello. It's nice. And this one, say with feeling. Italians do things with feeling. If it's nice, say it's bello. And they probably will tell you when they're showing you around, ma questo è proprio bello. This one is very nice. È bellissimo. And it probably will be, to be honest with you. Locale, local. So you're at a shop and you want to buy something that's maybe locally made. A good adjective to know. Aperto, open, and chiuso, closed. All right, so one last thing here when we talk about small shops would be talking about pharmacies, and I'll throw in kind of perfume and soap stores and things like this as well. So before we get to pharmacies, quick note on very small shops that sell perfumes and soaps and things like this. These shops, often you can go in as an entrata libera, look around, and not worry so much about being in that private space for soaps and perfumes and things. Farmacia, I would say, is similar, although you will be expected to greet the shopkeeper, and of course, you do that in a soap and a perfume store as well. But what you should know is that many items are behind the counter, so it's not like you're walking into a drugstore that you might be used to, where the things are displayed. You grab what you want, you go to the counter. No, if you have a sore throat, or you have something else, headache, or you need some cough medicine, you're not going to look at the shelf and select it. You're more than likely going to walk up to the counter. They're going to say, "Buongiorno," mi dica, tell me. And you'll describe what your symptom is, or if you're looking for something in particular, you will tell them that. And then they will probably show you a couple options. I have this spray, I have this gel, I have this cream, I have these pills. This one costs this one costs that. You take this one several times a day. And you'll find that the pharmacists are very helpful and extremely knowledgeable. While they haven't had medical training in the sense of gone to medical school, they are really knowledgeable about different products, what they do. And I find it's a wonderful intermediate step if you're not quite ready to go to a physician, to talk to a pharmacist, and they have some excellent products. Now, if you're looking for something particular, like let's say you like Advil, well, they may not know what that is. You want to look up the chemical name for that. Make sure you bring in the chemical name of whatever drug it is that you're using. And note they cannot write prescriptions either. So you would need a prescription from a doctor and from an Italian doctor if you need some antibiotics or something like that. But they do have excellent medicines in these places. And typically one within the city is always going to be open on Sunday, but many of them will be closed on Sundays. So if you need something or you think you'll need it, go a day in advance. And that's it. Buona giornata. Have a good day. And I look forward to seeing you next time.